I am Nafis.
And I'm Elias. It's Monday, May 4th, and you're watching the Mont Morning Show. Welcome back to the Mont Morning Show. Belmont starter students just finished taking their practice SATs and SATs. Students will now be taking their Keystones next week. Remember to stay after school to make up any missing work and prepare for your Keystones. For every student that stays in office hours to study, earn 5 points for your grade and get a classwork grade just for showing up. Now, this next story has students talking about what after-school club they want to join. That's right, a plethora of after-school clubs here at Belmont Charter High School. Sounds like a rumor, but it's real.
The Ignite after-school clubs we have to offer are Monday, Sister Circle, Dungeons & Dragon, Open Gym, Hooked on Yarn. Tuesday, Hooked on Yarn, Cafe Convo, Health and Fitness, Cosmetology, Afro, Amir. Wednesday, Open Gym, Beyond the Bars, Chess and Cosmetology. Thursday, Hooked on Yarn, Cafe Convo, Health and Fitness, Chess, Cosmetology, and STEM. Friday, Open Gym, Game Club, and Sister Circle.
In recent gaming news, PlayStation users got a big scare as all are logged out of their account, only to be glad it's just the terms of service change. The change, however, is more than an issue. Sony, the company that owns PlayStation, has implemented a change that is called the 30th-day digital management change. In other words, every 30 days, your console has to be connected to the internet, or any games that are bought after this update may be unplayable until you connect back to the internet. Sony is under fire due to this update and may or may not change this update due to the future. Let's see what the skies are up to. Over to Justin with the forecast.
Good morning, Belmont. As you can see, we're looking at clear skies. Let's go into this week's forecast. Monday, we have the highest of 72 degrees and the lowest of 58. Tuesday, we have the highest of 75 and the lowest of 55 degrees. Wednesday, we have the highest of 80 and the lowest of 59. Thursday, we have the highest of 67 degrees and the lowest of 46. Friday, we have the highest of 63 degrees and the lowest of 46.
Thanks, Jesse.
In today's movie news, we all know about the Michael Jackson movie that is still in theaters. A lot of tickets are being paid for and sold. In this case, this movie is getting popular every day, and the ratings are going viral on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Jafar Jackson is doing his big one. He's putting on an amazing show for the world in honor of remembering his uncle, known as Michael Joseph Jackson. For example, saw the movie last Friday in New Jersey, and it was the best time of my life. It was. But that's all I had for this story until this movie will still be in theaters.
Now to our very own Moisey with Tamara Russell from Revive Studio and Revive Media.
Good morning, Belmont. Today I'm here with PLC from Revive Radio and Revive Media. How you feeling today?
I'm great. I'm actually excited to be sitting here with you all. Like, I walked in and seeing the production and just everything that you all have going on. Shout out to your teacher, Mr. Brian. Like, just being able to put together something that is inspiring, not just you all, but, you know, for media makers like myself, journalists like myself, to actually want and come and participate with you all. Like, this is exciting. So thank you for the invitation. Thank you for talking to me. You know, like, this is really cool. You know, and I met you all at Philly Cam, which is like a space where it's a studio where, you know, community members can come in and find their voices, but you all like have it already at school. This is amazing to see. So congratulations for you all. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
For sure. Yes.
So before we get into our interview, I was wondering, like, the people that's out there that watch that don't know who you are, would you mind being like a little backstory about that? So,
oh, yes. My name is POC. I am the founder and host of Revive Radio plus Revive Media. We are a multimedia production company here in the city of Philadelphia. I'm a journalist, broadcaster. I'm also an environmental justice journalist, where I am talking about how Black people, Black and brown people don't have to become a product of their environment just because we live in them. Talking about it on a level where I can bring climate justice and climate action into the conversation, into the fold. I'm also an entertainment host. I do a lot of different broadcasting on community stations here. Shout out to my community radio station, WJYN 98.5. So I do a lot of different things. I wear a lot of lot of hats. But I work with the youth exclusively. So that's kind of how I got introduced to you and your your teacher today. Yeah.
So we like to say more on this side. Negative stuff in it for sure. The positive stuff. So we was wondering like, what's the most wholesome segment like you ever had? You had a lot.
That's a great question. And the fact that you were able to even keep going while the lady was doing the announcements says you've been working on your craft. But yeah, so for me personally, when it comes down to a wholesome segment, the first thing that came to my mind when you asked me that question was civic engagement. I'm really big on civic engagement, making sure that first-time voters understand their, rights when it comes down to voting, making sure when it comes down to local elections, we understand what it means to be civically engaged, to be civically educated, how we are shaping the city of Philadelphia as voters is extremely imperative for that next generation of, people like you all. So when it comes down to funding for schools, we're not having the conversation right now of cutting almost 20 plus schools in the city, right? That goes back to legislation and voting. When it comes down to funding for infrastructure, when you're in the car with your mom and, you head hitting the top of the ceiling because you keep running into potholes and stuff like that. So when it comes down to civic engagement, that's the first thing that comes to my mind as far as like a wholesome, segment. It's just making sure that students like yourself and then also first-time voters, millennials, Gen Z are just aware of what's happening. Blending that, not first time, but blending that civic engagement conversation with education conversation so that generation gap get closed. Because what I'm thinking is not what my grandma thinking, and what my grandma thinking is not what you're thinking, because you're in different generations. Yeah. So trying to figure out how we can still all be on the same page, because we all want the same thing. We just kind of gotta, be in the same car drive. We all gotta be in the same car to be able to get there at the same time. So I think that's that. I hope that answers your question as far as wholesome.
That answered our question a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, though, like sitting back, listening to like things you were saying, it seemed like you were very empowering women in the community.
Try my best.
So. Yeah, I feel like with that empowerment, some of the words do come from it. But I done did my research about you. I heard that you won an award for the Pen and Pencil Club, right? Yeah. So I wanted to ask you what was your work ethic that you put in to get the awards and get where you're at right now?
It's so crazy that you asked me that, because I'm still learning myself what it means to walk in a room and take up space, right? I'm still learning myself what it means to not shock my own self based off my own value, right? I add value, so I shouldn't be in shock value that I'm actually adding value to the spaces. So when I talk about being an award-winning journalist, that's still brand new to me. Not because I don't think that I didn't deserve the awards. It's more or less like the recognition coming from a space of oh, this is actually bigger than me. People are actually watching. It's actually making an input. It's actually changing and doing things that I set out to do. And one thing I'm learning too is that it's always impact over intention. So even though I had the intention on, only maybe changing the energy in the environment of where I was actually present at, but the impact lasted so much longer than that, to the point where it actually impacted people from Delaware, people from Jersey, you know what I mean? Because of how loud and proud I am when I do what I do when it comes down to Revive. So not just that award, shout out to the Pen and Pencil Club, but not just that award, every award that I've ever received thus far. I'm grateful. Shout out to God, being able to put me in position to speak through me, to be able to do the work that I do, and be of servant. Everything I do is of service, especially in my opinion. I hope this comes from everybody who's listening and all of you all in this room. As journalists, content creators, influencers, whatever you want to call yourself, it is a service. If you're only doing it for you, it's not going to last that long. You feel me? But once you're able to put yourself in a RAM or put yourself in a space where you can actually say, you know what, I'm doing this for my mans, I'm doing this for my cousin, I'm doing this for da-da-da-da, that gives you that motivation, that gives you that drive to want to keep going And then that passion just honestly changes. You know, it's no longer about the money. It's no longer about the views, the likes. It's really about the impact and the changing and what you can do to other people, what you can do for other people.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
I didn't mean to be long-winded, but I really wanted to get
feel
that
you.
out.
That's very powerful for you on that. But yeah, though, I feel like that means a lot to me. I ain't gonna lie, but I understand that like you're a journalist, you have like your own radio station, media station, and like a lot of things on your head. So like I was asking like what's one way like you're able to like manage your time and like all the stuff you got to do in one day.
That's a great question. I'm still learning how to do that. You know, when it comes down to managing my time, I wear so many hats, and I am in a space where I'm taking on a lot of responsibility that I asked for. So managing my time is just remembering that I'm human, right? A lot of us get into these spaces of feeling immortal because we just want to fly, we want to go, we want to jump off the porch, we want to, you know, like literally see our visions come true. Shout out to Philadelphia, you know, being a city of dreamers. Shout out to Meek Mill's understanding the whole thing of being a dream chaser and what does that mean, you know? So when you're chasing a dream or you're chasing a goal, sometimes you forget about yourself, you know, sometimes you mismanage your time. But it's always going to catch up to you somehow, some way, because we only get one life, one body, right? Yeah. So your body's always going to show who the boss at the end of the day. So I would definitely, my only advice that I would give, and me trying to answer the question, but to also give advice to others, would be to take care of yourself, self-care, eat right, drink your water, and go to the doctor for sure.
That's good. Well, yeah, though, but before I get you out of here, you almost answered the question, but like you seem like a very like woke and like wisdom person. So for the people out there, the kids out there, staff, anybody out there, they might be going through some things. What's like a piece of advice that like you would want to leave with them?
A piece of advice that I want to leave with journalists, students who want to become journalists, or just students in general?
Just students in general, anybody out there.
A piece of advice that I'll always leave with, you know, is greatness is a choice, because that's the mantra that I live by, is greatness is a choice. Like every day I wake up and choose nothing but greatness, but it is a choice. We all have a choice, right? One thing about life is that we're going to choose, but when we make a choice, we need to go through with that decision that we chose, right? We need to stand on that decision once we make that choice. So, that's always something I'm going to, you know, advocate for, because choices come and go, and how you handle those choices, how you handle the repercussions, the reward, whatever it may be from that choice, it always shows up in your character. It always shows up in who you are as a whole person. So once you choose that choice, or you decide to make that choice, I'm always going to tell you to stand on it and go with it. But also trust your gut, you know, trust yourself, trust your gut, and listen to that little inkling inside of you. Because that is a real thing. And for me, like, I'm a woman of God. So that inkling, that gut feeling is always going to be somebody or a spiritual being trying to tell you something. So listen to that for real.
Appreciate you for coming up here and speaking to the youth.
Now, thank God for having me. Can I shout myself out real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
Sure. Well, shout out to Belmont Charter High School first and foremost, for having me. This is a great experience. What you all are doing is impeccable. How you all are showing up for your students is impeccable. So I just want to shout out Belmont Charter High School. But at the same time, you can find me at reviveisalive.com. On social media is revive_POC. All of the above, Facebook, X, Twitter, all those good things. And check me out, WRD, every Friday, 10 a.m., every Friday at 3 p.m. on 98.5. It's a lot going on. Check out the website, reviveisalive.com. Shout out to you student journalists, for sure. Like, shout out to y'all.
Well, that's it, BTSH.
僕は今やりたいことをやれてる。この上なく恵まれてる。いい加減もうちょいてめえを高く見積もんねえと気づけるもんも気づけねえぞ。我ら元雄英ヒーローか乾杯。なりたい自分以外にも俺ってもんはあるんだって気づいた。
それぞれが選んだ道を尊重して笑い合う。それはとても贅沢で。
自分でも気づかなかった自分。
でももっと。
That's all the time we've got for today. But don't worry, we'll be back with more updates, interviews, and everything Belmont.
Remember to stay curious, stay kind, and keep showing that Tiger pride. For everyone here at the studio, thanks for watching.